I'm gonna say Paladin tank is the tank. That I think everyone can agree with me on here. The fact that there isn't a single other tank. I think we're good. We're good. Yeah. Okay. Boys, welcome back. We are going to do a different meta tier list this week. We're going to go over the one that I made before the season started to see how correct I was, see what's changed, and I will go over what the actual top specs are currently. What right
Yeah,
here, my
I'm gonna
very
lock
first pick,
Frost DK.
Frost DK. So I think that Frost DK has been absolutely in the meta for the entire season. It's still in the meta just because it doesn't have the rank 1 key right now. Does not mean it couldn't have the rank 1 key. The player that is choosing to play a different class, maybe they found something very specific for their team that works better for them. So I would say the Frost DK really does align. I'm a Havoc channel, so I threw Havoc T-Fan Hunter up here, but I mean, we all know what's happening with that. It's, yeah, whatever. The Blizzard doesn't like Havoc. It is what it is. We're over it. So let's see what else we got. We got Assassination Rogue. Yup. Then we got Enhancement Shaman. So that's the top comps. Like that is the top comp. So we were correct with that because this is 2 months ago. This is before the expansion came out. I'm trying to figure out right here where I would put Havoc in over these classes, and I still can't figure out where to put it. So even as a Havoc channel, even trying to put it into the tier list, I still couldn't put it into the tier list because that's how fucking broken these classes are. That is how broken these classes are. So I think Havoc is fairly playable. I think you get a title on Havoc, but let's be real. It's like you could just play a better class. You could just have a rogue that does probably more damage and has infinite more CC. So it is what it is. Blizzard doesn't want Havoc to be overtuned for some reason, but they're fine with Ellie Shamans one-shotting packs, enhancement shamans doing double the DPS of every other spec in the game for weeks. So, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. For a right here, obviously this was before any of the major changes, and I always thought that the priest was going to be good for this type of comp as well, but back then it was really bad, so I wanted to just kind of take a note of it. Right here, we're actually getting Mistweaver buffs, so I think that we can start seeing the comp that I'm putting right here. This comp that I called might very well be able to do the absolute highest keys in the game right now. This comp is absolutely demonic. I can't figure out what to take out for Havoc, so it's just it is what it is. It is what it is. I kind of went a little off with just the ranged meta comp, but Arcane got kind of dropped down, and then these dungeons just don't support the size of pulls, and it just kind of I think we just missed the mark with this. Not saying that when these rings come out and we start seeing all of the different abilities that we're gonna get, I think we're gonna be starting to see a more ranged caster comp. It's at some level the casters can kind of live longer than melees because they don't lose DPS for LOSing or stuff like that, or they'll lose extremely minimal amounts instead of having the tank pull mobs all the way over to one side of a room just so the melee can walk around the pillar and never really lose anything. That is time within itself. So that is also somewhat inefficient. This is I think still possibly a giga comp. The Arcane Mage has super prio. The Destro Lock just as he just goes infinite. He does decent prio. I mean, everyone knows it's Rate of Fire. It's not prio damage, but that's why I put Arcane in here. The Arcane kills the big unit, and then the Destro kills everything else with a little bit of extra damage on that main unit. So this is my kind of like thought process when building comps here before I see anything. I did keys on beta a little bit, and so Bear Druid was initially one of the best, and I still think there's a couple people playing it at the extremely high level, but that wouldn't, I'm not going to say that that's meta. You can, a 100% one trick can play a class and get title on it. It's just how it works. They know the class, they don't die, they save the group, they carry. That's the difference. That's why. But this right here, this melee comp, I do think if you're going to throw Havoc in, you would probably take out the Rogue for it because Havoc and Rogue have a lot of stuns. So Havoc and Rogue together is not a terrible combo as long as the Rogue attacks square, the Demon Hunter attacks circle, and they stun each mob individually instead of trying to collectively AoE everything with stuns and then trying to single target stun, because they will get DR'd almost immediately and it will become a problem. So putting multiple stun classes in one comp, like changing a Rogue up here with Havoc, is once again not the worst. It's an okay damage profile, but right here there's no real stuns from these two characters. Prot Warrior already has an AoE stun, and if you're gonna buff all of the melee classes, you could definitely get away with running a Prot Warrior and a Mistweaver. And I do still think when people get perfectly geared and maybe people just don't have these Mistweavers as well, because I really do think that a Rogue, Frost DK, Enhancement Shaman, Prot Warrior, Mistweaver, I'd love to find a way to sim that to, like, in a key, how much more actual DPS this three, Frost DK, Enhancement, Rogue, or Havoc, these DPS, how much damage they will gain in a key from adding a Prot Warrior Mistweaver. Because you're not going to get too many externals from Prot. You're not going to get as many kicks with Prot, but you do get the value from Spell Reflecting. There's a lot of Spell Reflect value. So I still think right now that this is not fully correct. We want a Paladin in this slot that is pretty, I think it's pretty locked in right now. Most everyone's playing a Paladin, but if they get any more nerfs, anything, this comp's coming back out. I think Mistweavers with the new buff, we're going to start seeing a couple of them, but Mistweavers are a very specific class. There's very specific people that play it, and I don't know how many people just enjoy switching to Mistweaver. All the Mistweavers I know play only Mistweaver. They don't do anything else. They don't care. So that was pretty much my meta prediction picks. I think I was pretty close. I got the DPS was correct. The tanks were correct for the moment and for a while. Like these were correct until like almost 2 weeks ago. So I would say that I did a good job calling the meta. I did this tier list before they changed anything with the paladins, with shamans, anything. So now I will do a rapid fire what the actual like meta comps are. All right, guys. Here is the actual 100% top list. What is timed? What are they running? Let's take a look. So, we're going to say Paladin tank is the tank. That I think everyone can agree with me on here. The fact that there isn't a single other tank. I think we're good. We're good? Yeah? Okay. Next, I want to say Priest. What do you guys think? There's a Mistweaver. Nice. So, I'm going to go with Priest Paladin tank is the best right now. If anyone else wants to throw their own insights in here, let me know. So, let's take a look at the next CPS. Alright. Look at that. Enhancement Shaman. Okay. Enhancement Shaman. Is there a key? All I want to know, is there one key without an Enhancement Shaman on this list? One key. Auto locked in Enhancement Shaman. That is done. Locked in. Next. Let's see the Yogs. Alright. Oh, There we go. Almost top 10 key done without an Og. We got one. Oh, I thought that one wasn't going to have an Og. Okay. And one key without an Og. Awesome. Very good tuning. I'm loving it. I love to see it, guys. I love the fact that we have to bring this freaking dragon that just AFKs in the key every time. I love it. Thank you, Blizzard. This tuning, thank you for introducing this class that ruins the fucking game and doesn't allow any real DPS to play. I love it. I don't know what this class is supposed to do, but it's incorrect. And I feel like you can see it now, that the fact that it's literally in every key since it's been introduced, and you've nerfed it into the fucking ground. So, maybe we change it, maybe we don't. I don't know. But I think every single player in the game hates the fact that Og exists. I don't even know. I talk to the people that play Og. They don't even want to play it. They're forced to play it. They're forced to play this class because of how good it is. It's such a terrible thing. Nobody wants to play this class. They're forced to play it to get rated. Like, this is just... They put Genji on an Evoker. That's how good it is. It's so good that they're like, Genji, you're one of the best DPS in the world. You're going to go on an Evoker, though, because that's how fucking good it is. Tragic. Tragic right here. And for our last DPS, our meta comp is 100% Prot Pally, Priest, Disc Priest, excuse me, Enhancement Shaman, Augmentation with a Flex 5th. That Flex 5th is almost pretty much narrowed down to, there is a player doing the Boomkins. I definitely think that a random player cannot do Boomkin like these players. But if you can, this guy has a good YouTube channel too. I watch him and I don't even play Boomkin. He's pretty good. This is... I wouldn't necessarily say that Boomkin is meta, because this person makes Boomkin meta every patch anyway. So I'm not going to go with meta, but we do see a couple on the list. I think when we say meta, we're saying most efficient tactic available, and when we do look at the stats, that would be just because there's a couple Frost Mages, I would say our real meta comp is a Frosty K or a Rogue as the 5th, due to the simple fact that a Frosty K just provides so much extra utility for its damage profile. It's almost crazy. It's almost nuts how much damage and utility it has. And they just took away some of its AoE, which I almost don't even know. Like, it didn't need a single target buff in my eyes. If anything, that was one of its downsides, was that you couldn't just do the most single target DPS and carry every part of the fight, because these types of teams are going to get through the trash. It's the bosses and the timers and the just flat out, you don't have enough CDs for when the boss yells. So Frosty K and Rogue are incredible. I think you got to be gaming as a team to play with a balanced druid at the highest level, and that balanced druid better be an absolute Giga Chad. So right here, the highest key in the game ever done, 119 Arakara, under by 1 minute 13 seconds, is a Frost Mage, Og, and then an Enhancement Shaman with Disc, Prot. So I don't necessarily see this changing too much when we get any new, like, rings, gear. There could be more changes. It does seem like they're flexing around, making big changes. So I'm not really even sure. I think with the nerf, Prot Pally will still be on the top of the list. So we will see next week if any of this changes, but I was pretty happy with my predictions. I think they were very correct, and then they did absolute massive changes after my first one about 3 days later, and I think I was still in line, still pretty in line. So I do enjoy making these videos. I'm probably gonna keep making them because I just look at this myself, and now I'll just kind of turn on a camera and say what I'm thinking while I do it. And hopefully that gives you guys some insights into what I think about the meta, what the meta actually is, and some of the other things that you could change in the meta. It's just Og needs to be dealt with. It cannot be in the top of the key list every single season, every single time. It's the only spec you bring to a raid that are multiple except for like Broodkeeper. It just, come on. Just admit you fucked it up and get rid of it. Admit it. Just get rid of the class. Nobody's gonna miss it. That every player that's playing the dragon's gonna go back to their mage. It's fine. You're gonna get you're gonna have people playing mage and they're gonna enjoy it more. Get rid of Og. Hashtag get rid of Og. I've never said hashtag in my life, and that's how much I want to get rid of Og.